the Grand Marshal for the School of Labor and Urban Studies 2025 Commencement Ceremony, Distinguished Lecturer of Labor Studies, Ellen Ditchner. Please welcome the platform party, the founding dean, the deans, chair of the SLU Labor and Community Advisory Board, distinguished speakers, the class of 2025 valedictorian, salutatorian, and graduate speaker, and the academic and administrative cabinet members of the college. Please welcome the Associate Dean of Academic Affairs and the faculty of the School of Labor and Urban Studies. And now, please welcome the class of 2025 graduates for certificate programs. Graduates of the Certificate in Community Leadership. Graduates of the Advanced Certificate in Community Leadership. Graduates of the Healthcare Leadership and Advocacy Certificate. Graduates of the Advanced Certificate in Leading Change in Healthcare Systems. Graduates of the Advanced Certificate in Labor Relations. Graduates of the Certificate in Labor Relations. Graduates of the Advanced Certificate in Labor Studies. Graduates of the Advanced Certificate in Public Administration and Public Policy. Graduates of the Certificate in Urban Experience. class of 2025 graduates for degree programs. Graduates of the Bachelor of Arts in Labor Studies. Graduates of the Bachelor of Arts in Urban and Community Studies. Graduates of the Master of Arts in Labor Studies. Graduates of the Master of Arts in Urban Studies.
To the CUNY School of Labor and Urban Studies 2025 Commencement Ceremony. I now declare the 2025 Commencement in session.
Now please rise and remain standing during the playing of the Star-Spangled Banner and Solidarity Forever, the Union anthem written in 1915 for the industrial workers of the world and which remains today the fighting theme song of the labor movement.
shall run. There can be no power greater anywhere beneath the sun. Yet what force on earth is weaker than the feeble strength of one? For the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong.
Please remain standing. Before we continue the ceremony, we'll pause to honor Francine Sanchez, a member of our community who we lost this year, and for all the lives of those we've lost to gun violence, COVID, and to violence in the United States and throughout the world. Please join us in a moment of silence. Thank you. Please be seated.
Good afternoon. We could do better than that for this momentous occasion. Good afternoon. Thank you. Wow. What a spectacular sight this is. Graduates, families, friends, faculty, esteemed guests, welcome, welcome, welcome. Graduates, I know you're bursting with pride right now. And believe me, you should be. You've worked very hard to get to this juncture in your life. But let me tell you something. We all here in this room are very proud of you as well. Let's hear it for our graduates. To the family and friends who are here, thank you. Through small acts and significant sacrifices, the support and encouragement you have provided our graduates has been critical to their success. I want to thank our faculty, and please stand, our faculty. And our staff. The staff are already standing, doing what they do so well. Thank you for all that you do throughout the year, but especially for everything you've done to make today such a special day. Your dedication to our students and our mission is at the very core of our work and is deeply, deeply appreciated. I also want to thank Arthur Chiotis, chair of our Labor Advisory Board, whose guidance and unwavering support of SLU has been critical to our establishment and our success. Unfortunately, he had an emergency last night and is unable to join us. This is the first commencement he's missed. A number of elected union leaders are here, members of our advisory board. I want to recognize Barbara Edmonds. I know she's here someplace. Director of Field Services for DC 37. I want to recognize Pat White, President of Local 764, VIATSI. I want to recognize Les Mullings, the Reverend Dr. Les Mullings, a longtime partner, CEO, and founder of Challenge School. Thank you for being here. And up here on stage, I want to recognize trustees Michael Arvanitis, representing the CUNY Board of Trustees, and Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs, Denise Mayback, representing the CUNY Chancellor, Felix Matos Rodriguez. Also on stage, I want to thank my colleagues, Elizabeth Sergile, Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, and Bert Sachs, our Associate Dean for Operations. And of course, I want to recognize our honoree, Erica Smiley, who you will hear from, where is she? Right there. Shortly, you'll hear more about her. If you're representing a union, a community group, or an educational institution, especially our high school partners, please stand. I know there are a bunch of you here. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Thank you. Stay standing. If you are a member, if you're representing a community organization or a union, in other words, anybody who's here, not because you have a loved one or a family member who's graduating, but because you are here to support SLU students and SLU's mission, please stand. That's an awful lot of people in this room. Please stand. Come on, all of you. I know I mentioned you before. Stand. They're all shy all of a sudden. You put them in a room, you can't. They won't, give you time to speak, but they won't stand up. Okay, but these are our allies who we depend on for support with our budgets and in our outreach efforts to the community. I'd like to say a few words about our school, the students, and this particular historic moment we find ourselves. In case you are a tourist who walked down the wrong corridor in the, as you were circling this magnificent building, I'm not going to ask you to stand up, but I will tell you something about SLU because you may be the only one in the room that doesn't know, but SLU is the 25th and one of the two newest schools in the City University system. The labor leaders and elected representatives of our communities beat enormous odds when they said they were determined to establish a new school that would stand side by side with the schools of business, law, journalism, health, and others. That was in 2018, and here we are now celebrating our seventh commencement. It's quite an accomplishment. Even though we're young and relatively small, we are the fastest growing school in the CUNY system. Thank you. And, we like to think of ourselves as a little engine that could. And if you're not a tourist gone astray, I suspect you already know by now that the school is dedicated to public service and social justice. Another way to look at it is we're a school about the art and science of social change for the common good. Our diverse student body comes to us with varying motivations and from a wide variety of backgrounds. Many of you here today are public sector workers dedicated to developing and implementing public policies that make our city more livable and equitable. Others of you are social justice activists working within unions, community groups, nonprofit organizations, and are committed to amplifying the voices and empowering workers both in the workplace and in the community. Additionally, some of you are enrolled in our pre-college and college programs driven by your aspirations for public service and social justice advocacy. Together, all of you are engaged or striving towards the noblest profession of them all, the craft of making the world a better, more humane, and more equitable place. Let's take a moment to reflect on the state of the world, our world, and this particular historical period. We have wars and famine and humanitarian crises that are ravaging regions in the Middle East and Ukraine, Yemen, and South Sudan, crises that are devastating millions of lives. We have an environmental crisis that is threatening our planet's future and endangering all forms of life. At home, inequities based on race, gender, and class are deepening while immigrants and marginalized communities face fear, discrimination, and exclusion. We see rising corruption, suppression of political opposition, and attacks on the vital institutions that are so near and dear to us: higher education, labor unions, and the free press. Our very democracy is at stake. You, our students, of course, know all this. Some of you more intimately than others. The crucial question at this juncture is, what will you do with what you know? The world is filled with violence, injustice, and humanity. Our core values, justice, equality, empathy, compassion, are more essential than ever. What is your role? How can you and we as a community best contribute? Throughout our history, in times of adversity, citizens have responded by strategizing, mobilizing, organizing, confronting power, and transforming culture, policies, and practices. This requires leadership rooted in creativity, courage, and a moral compass. It requires the collective vision and collective action, and it requires determination and resilience. Each of you will make what you will of your education with us, but we at SLU hope you will find it in yourselves to lead and to leverage the critical thinking and practical skills gained at SLU to bring about change. Seeds of change are already emerging, and they're visible in acts of resilience and courage, large and small, that we hear about every day. They serve as inspiring models for us all. So, graduates, stay firm in your values and speak out against wrongs. At the same time, listen to opposing views, learn from others, and seek unity. Be thoughtful and strategic, and keep that moral compass close to your heart and your mind. Use the art and science of change wisely. Advocate tirelessly for justice and equality. Strive to build a more sustainable, inclusive, democratic, and just world. Today marks a milestone, not an end, but a beginning. As we celebrate your accomplishments, view your diplomas not as only recognition of your work, but a call to action. So hats off to you, graduates. Congratulations. Don't forget to celebrate, enjoy life, and have fun. Thank you all. Thank you. Now, bringing greetings from the CUNY Board of Trustees is Trustee Michael Arvanites, a dear, dear friend of SLU. From the very first time he visited our campus when we opened our doors as a school, to enthusiastically recruiting other board members to visit our facilities. He has supported us on the board and outside the board in our lobbying efforts. He has watched us grow and expand, and he continues to be one of our strongest advocates. Please welcome my friend and patrioti, Trustee Arvanites.
Well, how are you, everybody? Great day. let me just say, first of all, let everyone take all the pictures they want. Don't stop them from taking any pictures. They helped you get here, even if you don't think they did. Let mom or your uncle or your dad or your grandma take the photos, or your guardian. Number two is, there may be more than 2 ladders in New York City, but I'm only aware of 2. The first is the City University of New York. We move people up, social mobility. And the second is the labor movement. And you just graduated from the confluence of both of those things. So now you're up on the rooftop and you're looking down. Don't pull the ladder up. Tell other people how to find it. Tell them about the great school that you just went to. I know there's no finance degrees here, but you all just made a pretty good deal. You got a quality high education for a 20th of the price. We really appreciate that. And for those of you thinking about a career in law or medicine or helping your union move on with a PhD, the CUNY has some graduate school. We have a medical school. We have a law school. Come back and see us again, and we will be happy to take you. If you're moving on and using your degree to help a union or help move social justice or advocate for those things that you believe in, do it with pride, do it with the CUNY pin on, let people know where you got that information and that education, because it's extremely important that people who don't know how to effectuate change get taught by you now, because you guys are now faculty as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Arvanites. I'm pleased to turn the proceedings over to our Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, Elizabeth Sergile. When our Senior Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, Gladys Schreidermakers, moved on to a new role in CUNY Central Office, Liz stepped up to lead the Department of Academic Affairs without hesitation, demonstrating exactly the kind of steady and thoughtful leadership we needed. In addition to her ongoing work as Director of Academic Affairs and Institutional Effectiveness, she has taken on these new responsibilities with tireless dedication and an unwavering commitment to excellence. Please join me in welcoming our Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, Elizabeth Sergile.
Thank you for those kind words, Dean Mancios. Before we continue, we will like to share some remarks from our Chancellor, Dr. Felix Matos Rodriguez.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Dean Mancios, for inviting me to be part of this exciting day for the CUNY School of Labor and Urban Studies. Welcome to all who are with us today in person, as well as those who are joining us via live stream. Congratulations to Jobs with Justice Executive Director Erica Smiley, who is going to be receiving an honorary degree today. On behalf of the entire CUNY community, I'm delighted to congratulate our SLU graduates from the class of 2025 on your outstanding achievement of this hard-earned milestone. We appreciate your commitment to public service and social justice, which is needed now more than ever, and we wish you all the best in your next steps.
At this time, I invite to the podium Joseph Newswander, valedictorian of the graduating class of 2025, who is graduating with a Bachelor's of Arts in Labor Studies. Please join me in welcoming Joseph Newswander.
Greetings, Dean Mancios, faculty and staff of the CUNY School of Labor and Urban Studies, distinguished guests, my fellow graduates, family, and friends. I want to congratulate my fellow graduates here today from the CUNY SLU class of 2025. I want us to take a moment to take a deep breath, because we made it through this chapter, reinvigorated with the knowledge, community, and and resilience to take on the causes that drive us. Let's take that moment to breathe together now. If we didn't have causes to drive us, I know we would probably be doing something else somewhere else. Not something worse or less valuable, but something different. We had certain objectives that brought us here, brought us to SLU, brought us to a school that is exceptionally different. The truths we examined were that these unprecedented times were indeed precedented, and the acute erosion of rights and dignity for marginalized folks was not an anomaly, but rather a continuation of historical patterns. That's what led us to SLU, a desire to pay attention to power structures and build a different kind of power, one that can strive to be for collective benefit. And so, I would be remiss here if I did not give a speech that it was at least somewhat different. So I wrote a poem. I didn't have time to write my speech because the D train went local, because there was pizza on the 14th floor, because my friends and neighbors live in fear, torn from homes, sent back to lands they can't thrive in, and held hostage by global forces beyond their control. I didn't have time to write my speech because Mom Donnie hasn't made the buses free just yet, because 16 credits weigh heavier than they sound, and so does 40 hours a week, without protection from the economic precarity lying in wait, without assurances of better times, when it will feel safe to speak out about the injustices towards others. I didn't have time to write my speech because of a committee's committee meeting, because of unprecedented call volume, and we still can't find a living wage to support ourselves or a family, or a democratic workplace. Because I'm mourning the loss of life and livelihood suffered by my loved ones and those I don't know, due to senseless gun violence and war and a lack of adequate mental health care. I didn't have time to write my speech because campuses around us are unsafe, where student voices are stifled from speaking out amidst a campaign of fear and retribution, while children in hospitals are being bombed and wars waged over lands I hardly learned of in secondary school. I didn't have time to write my speech because if I'd been born elsewhere or with a different skin, bars could have caged me instead of this podium. But as I toured pivotal street corners and pondered the meaning of a right to the city, I knew I had to write my speech. I'm stuck with the question of how my voice can amplify others and not overshadow or distort. I don't know what words can bridge the graduation I missed in 2020 or speak for every student here. But speaking up is always better than silence, and the students here are anything but. Thank you all for this journey together, and I can't wait to advocate on the front lines with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph, for your address to the graduates and our guests. And congratulations to our class of 2025 salutatorian, LaToya Fisher. I am now pleased to invite to the podium Karthika Thacker, graduate student speaker. Student speaker of the graduating class of 2025, who is graduating with a Master of Arts in Labor Studies. Please join me in welcoming Karthika.
All right, thank you for that introduction. Congratulations, everyone who is graduating today or celebrating a graduate. Getting our degrees is truly a team effort. I couldn't have done it with all of my classmates. Y'all are the most inspiring people I've ever met. Students at SLU work full-time jobs, care for their families, commute for hours, and have committed their lives to fighting for a better world. And even though we have a million places to be, we still hold the elevator door open, even when it starts beeping at us. Thank you to the faculty and staff who always go out of their way to make sure that we have what we need to succeed here. Special shout out to Professor Cameron Black, who rescued me from the 19th floor computer lab when I closed the door and locked myself in, even though there's a huge sign that says do not close the door. I'm honored to call myself an alum because it means that I'm connected to every single person in this room. Thank you. Thanks. I'm a proud immigrant, the first generation in my family to get a graduate degree. But getting a master's, but for me, getting a master's was not part of the plan. 3 years ago, I had just gotten a job as a union organizer, supporting workers who are bravely working together to fight for what they deserve. These workers were inspiring, but when they turned to me for answers, I didn't feel like I knew enough. I didn't feel like I was enough. Many of y'all have felt this way before, and I know because we've talked about it. But the first time I was brave enough to admit that I felt this way, it was to a total stranger at a birthday party, and I could tell that she had felt this way before too. She said, "Have you heard of SLU? CUNY School of Labor and Urban Studies?" Her name was Melanie Corvellis, another SLU alum, and like a good organizer, she followed up with me when applications opened and made sure I applied. And now, I'm here. And looking back, although every single class I took at SLU blew my mind, the most important thing I learned from my professors is sometimes it's not about having the answer, but about asking the right question. The main question I'm walking away with today: how do we create a world where everyone has enough, not just to survive, but to thrive and live healthy and fulfilled lives? At SLU, I learned there is no better path to a better world. It's about the process of listening, challenging your assumptions, and making decisions together that benefit everyone, and sometimes that also requires making hard choices. This process is called democracy, and it's what we need for more just workplaces, cities, and society. And right now, public education is under attack. The president is proposing slashing the education budget by $12 billion. Students are being targeted by government by speaking up against the US-funded genocide in Gaza, and our neighbor, Mahmoud Khalil, is still in ICE custody. Education is political. We have to fight for fully funded education where we can critique society and organize ourselves to make it better. Students at SLU, across the CUNY system, and across the country are leading the way in this fight. Yesterday, students from SLU, the CUNY Grad Center, Baruch College, and Brooklyn College joined dozens of students across the country on hunger strike. They're bringing attention to what the World Health Organization calls one of the worst hunger crises in the world, unfolding right now in Gaza. Israel has restarted the blockade on the Gaza Strip, putting 2.1 million people at a catastrophic situation of malnutrition and starvation. Blocking humanitarian aid is against international law. I am proud to have attended school alongside classmates that will not sit by as a genocide unfolds, but rather are demanding that our university divest from Israeli bonds and companies in order to pressure the Israeli government to end the blockade and stop the war crimes. I once again ask, how do we create a world where everyone has enough, not just to survive, but to thrive and live healthy and fulfilled lives? I am leaving SLU with the humility for all that I don't know, but the confidence to ask questions and go forward anyway. And most importantly, I am leaving with the community of some of the bravest people I know, people that remind me that we should never settle, because we know not only is it possible to live in a world without violence and daily injustice, but also that that's the world we deserve. Congratulations, and we have a lot of work to do.
Thank you, Karthika. Sorry. Thank you, Karthika, and a special thanks to all the graduates who shared their stories in our graduate student speaker nomination process. At this time, I would like to recognize the student representatives of the SLU Student Union and Academic Governing Council, who have worked tirelessly to support all of you. Would the student representatives in the graduating class please stand? Thank you.
Our candidate today for the honored degree of Doctor of Humane Letters is Erica Smiley. Ms. Smiley serves as the Executive Director of Jobs with Justice, where she has been key leader for nearly 15 years. Her tenure includes spearheading transformative campaigns and policy interventions that have redefined how workers organize and engage in their workplaces and in their communities. She is a nationally recognized organizer, movement strategist, and author whose career has been defined by a deep commitment to empowering vulnerable working people. So it's my honor to read the resolution that was the basis for awarding the honorary degree to Smiley. For your steadfast commitment to advancing initiatives that center the needs and voices of poor and working class communities in the socioeconomic and political decisions that shape their lives, families, and neighborhoods. And for your leadership in civic engagement, your role as a coalition builder, and your dedication to educating the next generation of community organizers. We recognize that you embody the humanity, cultural depth, and unwavering sense of racial and social justice that we strive to cultivate in our graduates, celebrate in our public figures, and uphold our core values in the school and in the university. By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of the City University of New York and by the State of New York, and by them entrusted to me, I hereby confer upon Erica Smiley the degree of Humane Letters, honoris causa, with all the rights, privileges, immunities, and honors pertaining thereto. Please join me in welcoming the honorary degree recipient and commencement speaker, Erica Smiley. And then I'll give you this. I'll hold this for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. This is as close to being a full academic as I may ever get, and I love it. Including all the clumsiness, and let's just, congratulations! You did it! So first, I want to thank Dean Gregory Mancios, Michael Avenides, and his colleagues on the Board of Trustees, Vice Chancellor Denise Maybank, Associate Deans Elizabeth Thurhill and Bert Sachs, and Arthur Chiliotis, who chairs the Foundation and Labor Advisory Board for the CUNY School of Labor and Urban Studies. And I want to thank all the faculty and all the students here that make this school so invaluable to our movement and to our democracy. Thank you so much. So this may be one of the most meaningful honors I've ever received. While I've spent much of my life deep in thought and conversation as a self-proclaimed public intellectual, I never followed the traditional path of advanced degrees. But in my family, education has always been a powerful force. You know, my parents each earned their degrees through hard work and perseverance, and my cousin just recently completed years of study to prepare for a dissertation defense, and my brothers continue to pursue new degrees with relentless curiosity, and meanwhile, you know, I barely made it out with an undergraduate degree. As my dad often reminds me, he says, you know, some people graduate, you know, summa cum laude, and you know, you got the magna cum laude, and he said, you got out, you know, thank you, laude, you know, and so I'll take that. He needs a sash for that. Proudly wear that sash. But still, my family's dedication has always inspired me. You know, I may have taken a different route, but every step of my journey has been made possible by the love and encouragement and example of my family. I'm lucky to have my mom here in front, my auntie. And so with all my gratitude and my admiration, I dedicate this honorary doctorate to you and to my family. All right, now to the business. So, of all the schools at CUNY, and I know, Vice Chancellor, you have to be impartial, but I'll say it. You can blame me. I think this graduation class understands the stakes of expanding democracy more than anyone else might. I'm not going to give a traditional commencement speech about the world that awaits you because you already know. Most of you have been living it for some time now, working full-time while attending classes in between your day shift for your employer and your night shift as a parent or caretaker or with another job you took on to make ends meet. You know, I remember waiting up well past my bedtime for my mom when she was getting her graduate degree, waiting for her to return home. And you know, she'd clearly already put in 2 days' worth of work before sunset between work and school, only to come home and find me utterly bewildered about why I was not the absolute center of her attention. And you know, years ago when I was privileged enough to teach a course here, I had, you know, a student who would do my assigned readings while working in the late shift at Starbucks, and I had another who wrote her assignments in the break room of the hospital where she worked. And once, when all classes were virtual during the pandemic, there was this disruption to my internet, and it took me 10 minutes to get back online. And a couple of you, I can see you here. We made it. But I was panicked. I knew everyone would use this as an excuse to leave because it was a 3.5-hour class that ended right before 10 o'clock at night because that made sense. And I just knew nobody was going to come back. But I got to a place I was able to rejoin, and not only did I find that the class had continued without much disruption, but the students in my class, my CUNY SLU students, were teaching themselves following the slide deck and the lesson plan I'd uploaded to the Blackboard, and frankly, teaching it far better than I might. I mean, it was far more interesting. I think it took a minute for them to even notice I was back. And, you know, when anyone asks me about CUNY School of Labor and Urban Studies, I like to tell this story because it's a story of students so committed to understanding the relationship between organizing and collective bargaining and democracy that they were willing to lead the discussion in my absence late into the night after having worked sometimes multiple jobs and parenting. You know, it is a characteristic of CUNY SLU students that we all need in this dynamic moment in history. You know, the muscle to be steadfast in our focus despite the many distractions thrown at us, from the latest social media post to that last-minute request from your boss or supervisor. While some people are measuring their commitment to social justice by how many rallies they've attended, you know, the most definitive battlefields in the war for democracy are often happening right here in our workplaces and in our economic lives. Because you see, democracy is not solely about the ability to vote once or twice a year. That's part of it. But as our infant country is discovering, because our country is young compared to other countries, compared to Egypt, we're just learning to crawl. Our infant country is just discovering that political democracy cannot last without economic democracy. Democracy at its simplest occurs when the majority of people in any given sphere have the ability to consult, confer, and make decisions about their surroundings. And at its best, collective bargaining, in its most expanded form, are the strongest pathways to democratizing in our economic lives. A union is a union contract. It's not simply a collectively bargained agreement, a negotiated agreement. It is simply a democratically negotiated policy for a work site. A policy negotiated by the majority of people in that situation, a policy that can be changed and challenged by that same democratic process. And expanded versions are just the same, community benefits agreements. These are all democratically designed policies governing a particular neighborhood, construction site, work site. And you know this already, because students of SLU are by design students of democracy. So now that you've graduated, it's up to you to sharpen the struggle in every worksite negotiation, every urban planning project, every community development conflict, that any other container that you might one day find yourself in. And I want to be clear, because this is also, we're a loud generation, we're a loud movement, but it's not actually just about being right. That's part of it, sure. It's not just about saying all the right things. It's actually about doing the right thing and doing it when it matters most. And I want to share a couple examples. You know, in February, I put my parents back on the spotlight. In February, I got independent text messages from each of my parents in North Carolina asking me about an effort to boycott Target because of how quickly the large retailer had caved to Trump administration's dismantling of diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. And I hadn't heard about it through any of my usual social movement channels, and I admit I was skeptical. And also, you know, this was Target, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'd spent, just saying, I'd spent like a decade while I campaigned against Walmart going to Target. You know, I love Target. And, you know, but still, I knew that one thing I was not going to do was cross a picket line, especially one that my parents were a part of organizing along with many other churches across the country. And about 2 months later, I got a call from a reporter asking me, you know, why weren't more black people participating in these protests and these rallies on April 5th? You know, were they mad at the rest of the progressive movement? She asked, was there some other, petty reason for it? And, you know, and I asked her if she'd seen the news about Target. And, you know, she had heard about the boycott or whatever, but not much else. And I said, well, did you see, you know, like Fortune magazine at the time, it just reported that foot traffic at the company had been down for, at that time, 8 weeks straight, now even more, you know, sending some of their investors into a near frenzy. And I asked her, she was a black woman herself, I said, you know, if knowing this changed her perspective on whether or not black people were active in the fight for democracy. Just because they did not turn out in large numbers for rallies on April 5th. You know, I said, do you now understand that how the actions of people and black people and many other people participating in this mass refusal to spend money at a company that betrayed them and betrayed democracy were perhaps even more effective than some of the largest rallies that she had reported on? Now, I don't want you to hear this story and run away talking about, I don't want to see any tweets talking about Erica Smiley told us not to go to rallies or protests. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am suggesting is that we need strategic soldiers for democracy, not simply self-righteous ones. Okay? I grew up in Greensboro, North Carolina. I don't know if you can tell by my accent. But most of my childhood, see, my deputy director over here, Denise, she keeps wanting me to talk fast. Like, that's natural. It's not for me. But I grew up in Greensboro, and most of my childhood, people spoke of Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill as hotbeds for progressive struggle. There was action a week, a rally, a protest every day. And it was not until I actually left Greensboro for Chapel Hill and looked back that I noticed the error in this logic. Because what Greensboro may have lacked in its frequency of public protests, the city more than made up for it in the depth of power that was activated when people eventually spoke up. Because, see, Greensboro was the home base for a bloody struggle against the Klan's hold on voting and elections in 1979, and the site of textile strikes in the 1980s, and union contract victories at Kmart in the 90s, and sit-ins that would eventually lead to the integration of the lunch counter at Woolworths and commercial locations around the country. That was all started by my city. And sure, there were not rallies every day as I came of age in Greensboro, but when Greensboro moved, the world changed. And that's the part of the battlefield I want all of us to be on in this world, this war for democracy. Not the loudest, not the prettiest, but the one that wins. Now, while the news follows the president's social media rants and latest abuses of power, you all are in hand-to-hand combat against autocracy every time you clock in. Our workplaces have long been sites of autocracy. We already know what it's like to lose the protection of the Constitution simply for being at work. That's why the fight to organize and collectively bargain, to democratize rules and conditions in our economic lives, is a central theater of struggle in the fight for our democracy. And it's not just democracy in general. So many workplace campaigns are focused on equality, on civil rights, on women's rights, the right to privacy, the right to dignity and respect, the right to live in peace. My colleague, Sanchioni Butler, who's featured in the book I wrote with Sarita Gupta, once told me that her fight for women's equality happened on the shop floor. While more economically privileged women marched in Washington, she and her coworkers celebrated the victory of winning a woman's bathroom near the assembly line where they worked manufacturing cars for Ford in Dallas, Texas in the 1970s. Even as many reproductive justice advocacy groups mourn the loss of Roe v. Wade in the Supreme Court, I recently met a woman named Jennifer who works at Amazon who almost miscarried after the company refused to obey its own policy to reassign her while she was pregnant. Reproductive justice has many layers, many of which are playing out on the shop floor. In the revitalized movement for Black Lives after the death of George Floyd, an Amazon worker in Bessemer, Alabama, also known often as Big Mike, he told his coworkers after they discovered the extent to which the company was using police surveillance on them, he said, this is our Black Lives movement. And while the news focuses on big tech's love affair with the current Trump administration, seeking new ways to access our personal information and data, the fight for privacy is live in work sites around the country. Allison and Heather, two teachers in West Virginia, led their coworkers in one of the most effective work stoppages of the decade in 2018 in a state where they were denied collective bargaining rights, where they had no institutional protection for it. And while most news outlets reported that the primary concerns of the teachers were health care and wages, that was only part of the story. What actually drove those teachers, workers in some of the most politically conservative counties of that state who led the charge against their state health care plan, were motivated because they were required to enter personal data into a health insurance app on their phones. Even here, in our academic institutions, maybe especially so, where faculty and staff and students at Harvard and Rutgers and right here at CUNY are holding the line against unlawful surveillance, attacks on international students, ICE raids against this campus community. The fight for democracy is here The fight for democracy certainly awaits you when you clock in tomorrow. But the fight for democracy is counting on you not just to be right, but to do right when it counts the most. Don't be distracted by getting it perfect all the time. You know, movements are messy, irregular, non-linear. Movements mimic the ebbs and flows many of you have experienced while trying to obtain this degree. If you're actively fighting for democracy, even if it's just to ensure the majority of people in your one tiny unit can engage in decision-making practices, then you're doing it right. All of us have a role to play. History might be disproportionate in its memory of the great orators, but behind every Dr. Martin Luther King were hundreds and thousands of people calling out of work, filling out the paperwork for a neighbor who couldn't read, translating for someone who needed care but didn't speak English, hiding children from ICE in their church basements, refusing to shop at a company who fails to stand up against racism, or sitting at a lunch counter in Greensboro, North Carolina. People taking strategic action for freedom and democracy. Because it's going to take more than a handful of activists wielding slingshots. We must build power, and that requires a disciplined approach to crafting efforts that call everybody in. See not the current political catastrophe our communities face and choose despair. Instead, see the abundant opportunity of this moment. Because you see, history rarely remembers the peacetime generals. And yet there is volume after volume memorializing the unnamed heroes who fought the tyrants and the authoritarians and the demagogues, those warriors for economic justice who fought wars to better the lives of common people. And here you are, facing some of the biggest villains of our century, of our millennia. Is it not an opportunity? We have a chance to free ourselves from autocracy. The fights you take on, no matter how small they might seem, will have an exponential impact on the arc of history. Now, I'm not telling you to be blind to the real dangers and threats coming at us. I'm telling you to act anyway. You may think this fight is just about your manager or your supervisor or your school chancellor. I assure you it's not. Our families are depending on you to win. My family's depending on you to win. My 6-year-old daughter, who's passed out on the couch over in the CUNY building, is dependent on you to win. I told Nika Rose I'd give her a shout out. Sorry, she's asleep. She didn't even see it. She didn't even see it. But, you know, we all heard the child crying in the back. Don't any of you be the one to give up on a child's rights and freedoms before they've even been born. Don't give up just because things got a little hard or a little messy, flat out scary. Let your bravery in this moment be measured not by how much fear you have. Let it be measured instead by how you consistently choose to act anyway. And I'll close with this. You know, our opponents want us to believe that we are somehow boxed into a set of rules, as if laws cannot be abolished and reconstructed based on our values and our needs, as if we cannot decriminalize the undocumented mother trying to protect her children and instead criminalize the employer who violently threatens them, as if we cannot somehow decriminalize all the underemployed workers who are forced to feed their families by resorting to petty crimes and instead criminalize the reckless politician who poisoned the entire city of Flint, Michigan, as if we are stuck in a growing crisis of inequality. I assure you, we are not stuck. Laws only change after the emergence of a robust movement willing to break them, even at the risk of reorganizing the very institutions we have built over the last century. I wouldn't be here if my movement ancestors hadn't broken unjust laws. Many workers, particularly disproportionately exploited Black and immigrant workers, are not waiting for union recognition to begin acting like a union, even when the path to a traditional union contract is mired with dangerous, even deadly barriers. Instead, they've tapped into the very power of workplace organization and demonstrate the necessity of new institutions and new laws to support what they are already doing, what we're already doing. We're doing it our way. We're going to do democracy our way. And the next time someone asks you where you were at fill-in-the-blank rally, after you've been in contract negotiations all day, or fighting with electric leaders over city plans that might run through the last acre of affordable housing, thank them for carrying the flag for democracy, but remind them that we will only be successful as a country if people like you are also engaged in the scrappy, daily struggles to democratize our economic life. Remind them that we will win in large part because you are holding down that theater of battle, the stage in which most of us spend the bulk of our time at work. Thank you all for having me at your commencement. Congratulations again to all of you. You did it.
Thank you, Smiley. The School of Labor and Urban Studies has a long-standing tradition where graduates pass the torch to an undergraduate or graduate student working towards their own graduation. See you soon. Today, we continue that proud tradition with an inspirational poem written by Walter Romney, a longtime staff member at SLU. The poem calls upon future graduates to come and build and to show the way home. Today, that poem still rings defiantly true, and we are excited to continue this tradition in 2025. Our graduate and salutatorian, Latoya Fisher, who earned her BA in Urban Studies, will be passing the torch to Katrina Gray, a current BA candidate in Labor Studies. This fall, Katrina will continue her academic journey at SLU, pursuing her master's degree.
As we pass the torch to the next graduates, we'd like to say, catch. A world in turmoil awaits your guiding hands. A disintegrating nation needs to be rebuilt in a new form. Come and build. Come with new ideas, new visions. We hope for a better way to live. You are now on a path to creating a brighter tomorrow. You already have the torch, so let's start moving. The world is at a crossroad. Come show the way home. Congratulations.
And now, the moment we've all been waiting for, the presentation of the 2025 graduates and candidates. To expedite the presentation of certificates and degrees, please refrain from taking pictures until the end of the ceremony. Would our department chairs, Stephanie Luce and Steve London of our Labor Studies and Urban Studies departments, please come to the platform. It is my pleasure to welcome the the School of Labor and Urban Studies certificate and advanced certificate candidates of the class of 2025. On behalf of the Labor Studies and Urban Studies departments, I will now present the candidates and graduates for the certificate programs. Will the certificate and advanced certificate candidates and graduates for January 2025 and June 2025 please stand and come forward?
Certificate in Community Leadership, Dickens Beliska. Vidal Tano Cintron. Damian Myrick. Skylyn Rodriguez. Advanced Certificate in Community Leadership, Mark Coleman. Congrats. Pharaoh King Gonder. Edward Richard Hines. Certificate in Healthcare Leadership and Advocacy, Tracy Dayro Kreidler. Advanced Certificate in Leading Change in Healthcare Systems, Tracy Capers. Colette Smith. Emanuela Joseph. Advanced Certificate in Labor Relations, Mohammed Farid Zainuddin. Certificate in Labor Studies, Edgardo Betagon. Rena Cummings. Jawanda McLean. Advanced Certificate in Labor Studies, Barbara Burgos. Certificate in Public Administration and Public Policy, Desmond Henry. Jillian Nave. Ian O'Hara. Samantha Scholar. Certificate in Urban Experience, Faith Adeniyi. Khalil Alabi. I had the whole thing down. Jami Barry. Nia Blackman. Nicholas Boudou. Jose Cespedes. Infinity Dunbar. Munachimso Azinwa. Jasmine Flores. Destiny Garcia. Emily Graham. Keone Gray. Bethany Gums. Lillian Harris. Stephanie Hernandez. Ayomidi Israel. Nandini Jaman. Ryan Jolly. Demirleen Joseph. Sandra Colmain. Amani Keenan. Lauren Lashley. Margnell Lazar. Gianna Martinez. Georgina Martinez. Dianelli Mercado. Malika Morris. Lyric Murray. Dafka Nogais. Conwidi Nunu. Kayla Odom. Temi Peters. Kalicia Pollock. Naylin Ramnarine. Wahab Rana. Kyle Richardson. Liziana Sahadio. Song Samuel Holmes. Kayla Saeed. Ania Stanley. Giada Tranchant. Rihanna Wallace. Sanai Watson. Maxwell Wenger. Alexis Weston.
It's my pleasure to welcome the School of Labor and Urban Studies graduates and candidates of the class of 2025 for their degrees. On behalf of the Labor Studies and Urban Studies departments, I will now present the graduates and candidates for their degrees. Will the graduates and candidates of the class of 2025, January and June, please stand and come forward.
Bachelor's in Labor Studies, our valedictorian, Joseph Newswander. Katrina Gray. Ranji Rajkumar. Bachelor's in Urban and Community Studies. We begin with our salutatorian, Latoya Fisher. Samantha Conzo. Christina Diaz. Rashawn Donovan. Dion Ellis. Garrett Gebhardt. Teresa P. Mitchell. Herbie Fenord. Okay, Anna Tresvalis and company. Master's in Labor Studies, we begin with our graduate student speaker, Karthika Thacker. Matthew Brunner. Melissa Charlie. Camila Chavarria Duarte. David Diaz. Hannah Ferris. Lakeisha Foster. Lucia Gomez.
That's awesome.
Prathana Gurung. Jennifer Rose Halpern. Yendi King. Paulo Enrique Lelis and company. Katie Levitt. Charita Lynch. Patrick McCann. Harry Mickelson. Letitia Cherise Richardson. Julia Jasmine Smith. Charlie Uruchima. Masters in Urban Studies, Connor Anstead. Cheryl Apicella. Balarji Ayarinde. Natasha Bartley. Luciana Bell. De Janeiro Budancing. Dennis Allen Diaz. Amy French. Wait. Gilda Gillum. Say it again. Gilda Dawn Gillum. Want to get that right. Evelyn Giwa. Wendy James. Myra Machado. Deepthi Panuganti. And Tessa Richardson Jones.
And now, the conferral of certificates and degrees. Let everyone get back to their seats. Will all the candidates and graduates please stand? Dean Mancios, on the recommendation of the faculty of the School of Labor and Urban Studies and their respective departments, I present to you the candidates and graduates for the certificates and degrees of the Certificate in Community Leadership, Advanced Certificate in Community Leadership, Certificate in Healthcare Leadership and Advocacy, Advanced Certificate in Leading Change in Healthcare Systems, Certificate in Labor Relations, Advanced Certificate in Labor Relations, Certificate in Labor Studies, Advanced Certificate in Labor Studies, Advanced Certificate in Public Administration and Public Policy, Certificate in Urban Experience, Bachelor of Arts in Labor Studies, Bachelor of Arts in Urban and Community Studies, Master of Arts in Labor Studies, Master of Arts in Urban Studies for January 2025 and June 2025.
We now declare the 2025 commencement officially over. Congratulations, graduates.
I actually have one more task I believe I need to undertake here. Remain standing, if you will. Associate Dean of Academic Affairs, Elizabeth Sergile. Faculty, class of 2025 graduates and candidates for graduation, by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of the City University of New York, I hereby confer all those degrees with all the rights, privileges, honors appertaining thereto. Graduates, as a symbol of your new status, please move your tassel from right to left.
Will the graduates please be seated? Today, we celebrate the accomplishments of our graduates. However, no commencement will be complete without recognizing those individuals who've been instrumental in bringing about our graduates' success. Will the administrators and staff please rise? To the administrators and staff who tirelessly assisted and supported our students in navigating their own path through school, thank you. Will the faculty please rise? Teacher, challenger, taskmaster, co-explorer, mentor, counselor, friend, and core of our institution, the pulse of the academy. Singularly and collectively, you have provided our student body with an extraordinary educational foundation. Please accept the sincere gratitude of the entire SLU community. Thank you. Will the parents, spouses, partners, children, supporters, and other family members of our graduates please rise? Your support, encouragement, patience, sacrifice, and financial assistance made today possible. You are most deserving of our gratitude and thanks. On behalf of the School of Labor and Urban Studies community, please accept our heartfelt appreciation for entrusting us to those who are most precious to you. Thank you. And now to the class of 2025. Maya Angelou once wrote, "There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you." We at SLU have given you the tools to tell your story. Now it is time to share it with the world.
Thank you. We now declare the 2025 commencement officially over. Congratulations, graduates. Please remain in your seats as we take a group photo of the graduating class. More directions will follow. Immediately after the photo has been taken, please join us back on campus on the 18th floor for light refreshments and entertainment. Thank you and congratulations once again.
Due to the rain, our group photo will take place indoors. Friends and family, please stay seated. Graduates, please stand and face the back of the room. Platform party, please stand and move to the front of the stage. Everyone hold your pose and look at the photographer.
Thank you.
And family, we love the photo taking, but for a minute, keep the cameras down. Thank you all. Please join us back on campus once again on the 18th floor for light refreshments.
Jerusalema, ikayalami.